Welcome back to the Make It Count podcast.
I'm Marcus Mire, founder of Mire Group CPAs and the Total Control Accounting System.
I'm Tyler Woerner, small business owner with a lot of accounting questions. And I'm teeing this one up today, Marcus. How do I frame this? This is hurdles I've encountered switching to completely cloud accounting tools. So from going from one established kind of accounting system to buying all in on the things you're selling with the cloud accounting.
What are you in?
So halfway in, all in on Xero.
Okay.
We've got Gusto set up. Those are partially connected.
Okay.
And then setting up Melio, which is kind of like a competitor to Routable.
Yep.
It looked like they almost function for, feature for feature match there.
Yeah.
So I haven't nailed down a budgeting thing. I'm just not really sold on the whole tracking categories with Xero, but we'll get into the weeds here.
All right.
But I really just felt like it's probably good to hear a perspective of like somebody who's kind of like in the middle of not like 100% DIY, you know what I mean? But not like totally like hands off either.
Right.
So I just figured it might be good. Like there's kind of three things I feel like not roadblocks, hurdles.
Okay.
And I want to start it off by saying this. It's the best of times and it's the worst of times.
I can't wait to get into this.
When it comes to cloud accounting.
Okay.
And here's what I mean by that. Is like you can sign up for all these things. Mm-hmm. And it's the best of times.
Oh, yeah.
Like, dude, no one's going to get in your... Like, you could... Everything I just listed off, Xero, Gusto, Melio, however you pronounce that, like all these tools, right? They're all accessible. It's wonderful. It's the best. But what happens is like there's no gatekeepers anymore, right? So there's also no advising along the way. So you can like you pay your subscription. They don't care if you screw up your accounting or not.
No.
You know what I mean? So that's what I mean is like, I'm not saying we need to take steps backwards. Like I love the accessibility of all of it, but got a little bit of like, was sobered a little bit of like, all right, when you just go through all these things, there's some things where you just like, if you're not an accountant, then you just kind of hesitate. You know what I mean? And then the accessibility is like, okay, well, it's cool, but now I'm hesitating.
Yeah.
Is that making sense?
Yeah, it is. And I know we're going to get into how we do this and why you're feeling the way you feel. And it almost needs to be an episode where you're laying on a couch.
Yeah.
Just kind of telling your troubles. No, I can definitely speak to what you're experiencing and why you've gone down this path and how it could be different. How about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I kind of got three categories and we'll just kind of start software, coding, and then just kind of overall lack of accounting knowledge.
Yes.
So the software, I'll start with that one because that one's like, kind of like I was saying, like that double-edged sword where in a lot of ways, like if you're if you're motivated and you're a self-starter and you're not like, you work with software tools on a daily basis, which is most professionals nowadays, like none of it is intimidating from a user interface perspective.
Right. Meaning
like you can kind of quickly get the hang of all of the tools that I've kind of played with a little bit. But then I found that there's like, you'll get going and then there will be something that just is like, I have no idea. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So
that's good.
So like set up Xero, we got Gusto set up. and then like I was able to, with like a click of a button, set up the integration, right?
Right.
And so that is like something that's really awesome that software is able to do now. Like I didn't have to code anything. I didn't even have to download anything. I just like, boom, clicked the button, connected them. But then it was like, we're going to sync it up with your chart of accounts. And like the first line was a clearing account. And I was like, I don't have a clearing account. Like, what is that? Is it a bank account that they're like looking? Because they're trying to sync Gusto's data with my chart of accounts.
Correct. And
so I was like, I don't know where to put that. Is that the account that the money gets taken out of that they're trying to, or is it like a chart of, I just was lost.
Yeah.
So I actually just had to ask Stephanie in the hall, like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
And that was the thing where it was just like, man, it was so close. But yet still.
Let me give I was thinking as you were talking about when you had your lead in and now this. And I'm thinking this would be a good analogy. You don't know, and we said this before we started, you don't know what in this world success looks like or failure looks like. Give you an example. If you were doing graphic design and you said, man, I just downloaded Canva or I just went to canva.com, started making something. And let's not use Canva because let's just say something where you had to kind of like freehand design. You had to illustrate something. You know really quickly that looks like crap. It's very visual. I'm not a graphic designer. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. The tool was easy. But everybody knows that's not a Picasso. Okay. Transition to accounting. You're started, you've got the tool, but you don't know what success looks like. In fact, you don't know what failure looks like. Like you're getting into some things that you're like, yeah, they're accessible, but you can't define them. You don't know where they go wrong. You don't know, and not you, just you, you being the user.
I'm not personally offended.
Yeah, no. And I think that's the issue. And we have a saying around here when we talk about clients doing their own stuff, and the reason why it's this happy medium is the software being accessible, the client in it, and us helping them is because most clients, pretty much all clients, don't understand the balance sheet. So they don't know something they put on the balance sheet has a negative balance when it should be positive, vice versa, or it should be on a P&L.
Yeah,
there's some markers that you're just blowing by.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have still, even like Stephanie told me exactly how to set it up in Xero. Like, but I would not have known, is this an expense account? Is this a liability? You know, like, I don't know.
Right.
You know, because I just didn't even know what it meant.
That's why we don't even let, honestly, I hate to say this, and I like this tension we're having here about, like, you keep kind of coming to me about like, well, the software should do it. You know, the software should do it. Like we had the last talk about like, why do I need you to tell me what my taxes, like finagle that? And look, you know, I'm all about the software being a bigger part. It's just the understanding of the output. The professionals, to a certain extent, that is still the gatekeeper. Like understanding or like being coached heavily on and becoming a quasi accountant to understand, you know, where you're going wrong. I think it's still a big deal. Why we don't, my point is, why, if you came to me normally for a Gusto setup, I'd say we do it.
Yeah. And you guys did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did that.
But the integration, that's my point. It's like, I thought it was like, oh yeah, this is easy. I click a button.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what I'm saying. Like the ratio of like the accessibility to still damage you can do with the lack of understanding. I just think of, I know we always joke about you're the last person on earth hadn't seen The Office, but there's like this bit where like she's like, you don't blame a 4-year-old who crashes a car when you gave him the keys. Like, you know what I mean? That's it, you know, out of context it sounds really weird, but it's true. It's like, I mean,
well, that's why we don't normally give you the keys until you have your permit.
But guess what? Xero, Gusto, they all do. You can go in and sign up and you know what I mean? And so
we see it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing, is just like realizing, man, it's a great time. I still I don't want to go back. Like the software is incredible.
Right.
But yeah, you can really I was surprised at how far you could go, and how much there was to get wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Gotcha.
because everything feels like it's kind of on rails a little bit, and then you just encounter something where you're like, whoa, I could really screw something up here,
Yeah.
So software was interesting. That and it was mostly centered around the coding. The data entry tools were easy to use, like getting that stuff set up and like the app and all that. That's all good. That's very easy. It's just when it comes to like when you're setting this stuff up, coding it and integrating it to making sure like I still am not like too confident in my chart of accounts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that's where I feel like the hurdles were.
Yeah.
I will say this too before we move on from software. Some of it was like I didn't quite know. It wasn't totally intuitive. It was easy to use, but like for example, with Xero, this particular account I was working on had like a lot of bank transfers.
Yeah.
And it took me like a second to like they will match the transfer, but only on one side of the transaction. Does that make sense?
Well, one side creates it, the other side can match it.
Okay. So it took me a second. Like that wasn't
Yeah.
intuitive because
Right.
like the first one I think I did, it was like I knew it was a transfer.
Yep.
I did it from the wrong way, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and that's kind of one of those. That's kind of one of those things. Transfers is a good example of one of those things where if you like, I see people all the time transfers. They just say, "Well, I transferred money to pay such and such." So when I transferred money to pay, excuse me, to pay the mortgage, I just code that to the mortgage. But an accountant knows a transfer between bank accounts is only one account going up and the other going down. So, meaning we could troubleshoot that really easily. It's like, oh, wait, no, that's just that bank account should have gone up and that one should have gone down. Why is mortgage being affected? That's the little marker that somebody doesn't know. And I will say what we do instead of turning people off into the wild, why I like the way we do our training is, so this is, if you came on as a client with us, not in this example because you're braving it.
I've gone rogue.
You have gone rogue. That's okay. That's why we love you. What we do is so the process starts where you say, hey, okay, I want to, let's just say new company. We'll set it up for you. We'll connect all the bank accounts. That's all in our setup. We'll get you going. But then we train you. And we kind of talk to you through like some day-to-day, like what's a day of business look like on your business? We'll walk you through. But then we bring you back 2 weeks later. And inevitably, you've forgotten everything of the training, or you know how it is when you're sitting with somebody and they're like, click here, click there. Unless you're the one clicking here and clicking there, you don't remember that. Yeah. So we bring you back in 2 weeks when you got some live bullets, right? And you've done it and then you messed up and then we fix. That has proven to be a really good system for us. The training, give you the head knowledge, give you some videos. We leave you with all our best practice content. And then we bring you back after you've done it. For your reason, at that point, if you came in, we would, within 2 weeks, we'd help you with the gusto. We'd just say, hey, don't worry about it. We'll cover that at the training. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what our experience has been, is like, we don't want clients feeling like, holy cow, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It's not benefiting them. That's not, So that was just, those are things that, because I think the thing is, like, because the software is so accessible, it kind of paints a picture that I guess maybe I underestimated where I wasn't familiar where I would come into kind of roadblocks and hurdles.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm like, kind of the here, and here. You know what I mean? Some of the software stuffs I was able to YouTube. You just like, okay, how to do a Xero transfer and walk, there was enough content to walk me through that. So I was able to get over that hurdle, but really like the coding stuff was like, it's unique to your business, and you're not going to find like a tutorial, because it's not about clicking buttons. You know what I mean? It's about how you set things up, and if you don't know accounting, and you put something that's, the wrong number goes up when it should go down. I mean, you put it
into the balance sheet account when it should be a P&L account. Yeah, I think too, like there's this whole, every professional group has they get together and they commiserate about, the clients do this and the clients do that.
Right.
And you just gripe about stuff or but look, it's the reason we have jobs, right? Is that people don't know how to do accounting. But one of the things that comes up, they always talk about TurboTax. For years they would do TurboTax and I think they still do, Super Bowl commercials. And what was the tagline a couple of years ago? All people are tax people. It was hitting at the exact point you're making. Yeah, but you don't know what you don't know. You can do TurboTax. You certainly can click and answer the questions, and it will guide you. The problem is you don't know when you've answered a question wrong because you don't know what to expect on the output. Like, I can answer your questions, TurboTax, but I know as a tax professional, I know what that question's asking. You don't know that and so you click it wrong, it brings you down a whole path. You can't fix it because you don't know you're wrong. And so that's a lot of this, why this holy grail and this middle ground of like people behind you helping you getting better, you as a bookkeeper, you as an in-house bookkeeper or somebody managing my own finances, you get better with somebody coaching you, because online resources are great too. It can take a while to develop that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus somebody walking through it with you.
Yeah. So the last thing this was the one where it was like, all right, this one didn't feel like I could overcome.
Okay.
The software coding, I felt like, okay, I could kind of get my head wrapped around it. And that was probably just because we've had a lot of conversations about it.
When you say coding, what do you mean? I want to make sure I understand that.
Just
not to derail you, but
just like I was talking about specifically with that Gusto integration.
Okay. So integration to mapping.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Mapping transactions to the right place.
Okay.
The ones that are beyond like the obvious of like, okay, the one we always joke, Popeyes is obviously a meals expense. Like there's some that are obvious.
Correct.
But like when you start getting into payroll and like that Gusto one really threw me for a loop because I didn't.
You're withholding probably retirement from people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All that stuff. And so,
yeah.
So it's just like I don't have the confidence to know, okay, I mean, obviously this is an expense, but how do I?
But is it? If you withheld it from somebody's paycheck, it's not. It's a liability.
See, there we go. Yeah. That's why I'm,
But again, I'm a CPA. Like, I'm supposed to know that.
Right.
Yeah. But to your point, they've painted this, and I get it. I would say zero amongst a lot of them doesn't. Like QuickBooks, for sure, has marketed themselves as you can do this. And the matter of the fact is most people can't. So anyway.
Yeah, you can
the fact of the matter. I said the matter of the fact. I like that, by the way.
Yeah. Well, you're a CPA.
Right. In tax season, my brain's thrilled.
So I guess that's the nutshell is be careful.
Yeah.
Because like I could have in 30 seconds integrated that. I just, like your point was saying, I don't know that if I would have integrated it wrong or half wrong or just.
So let me piggyback off your point. I mean, it's okay to do it wrong. If you have an advisor, it's easily fixed. I mean, it's easily fixed.
Yeah. And I think it's
just you don't want to get 9 months down the road. Like 2 weeks later, hence the reason we do the 2 weeks, we can fix that and tell you where you went wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess, I mean, the point of this was just to kind of tell the story of like, if you go for it, what happens and where are you going to encounter some things. And, obviously you guys have built a business that, equips your clients to do what they need to do. They're not probably as cavalier, just signing up for all this stuff and going not for it.
Some are, but that's also why we're building solutions around forms and Airtable where people don't even have to get into the accounting software. So I think that another place you could go is you give people access to do things with very simple prompts where you on the back end map it as the professional where you want it to go. Airtable is the best example.
Yeah.
I can make a little form with 5 data points that you have to fill in. Very simply. In fact, some of the data points are where you click in it and it's a selection of things. And then I map it on the back end through Zapier to do the accounting.
Yeah.
Like that's also another way to just be like, look, man, I'm going to make your life real easy. You're going to do your accounting, but you're never touching the software.
Yeah. The last thing was kind of just this, like really just the lack of understanding of accounting.
Yeah.
And especially if you're moving from one scenario, one system, whether that's digital, analog, cloud, paper, like to another, it only magnifies, where you have a lack of accounting,
right?
Because it's not just, oh, I'm going to do A or B this way now, automated. If you don't know the root of it, like I gave you this example of what'd you call it? I didn't even know what to call it. It was amortizing insurance over the
amortizing.
Amortizing
prepaid insurance.
Amortizing. Why am I can't say that word?
It's funny. People like to throw that other amortize.
That's why I say it. Yeah.
Amortize.
Yeah.
It's an amortization schedule.
Now I just want to say hammer time.
You can do that too.
Yeah. So like that's how it's been done. And I wanted to try to like keep that going, but it obviously affects the books. And it's like, it doesn't, we're moving from a system that wasn't tied to a bank feed like Xero is. And so that kind of messes things up.
Well, and what's messing that up is that's a non-cash transaction. That's a journal entry.
Yeah.
You're literally you're moving something out of prepaid insurance and into insurance expense. That's a journal entry. It has nothing to do. Nothing happened on paper.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let me back up. Nothing happened in your bank account. Mm-hmm. There's no money going in or out. Yeah. So again, accountants normally make journal entries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Mea culpa.
Yeah. So I think, I share all this to say, I guess I really believe in what you guys do, and I try to go rogue. I try to defect and,
And no, we didn't make you do this for the show, by the way. This wasn't like a spoofed, hey, Tyler, why don't you try to go do your own bookkeeping?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, but it just makes the point that we always tell people is like, we'll be alongside for you. Do what you do. If you sell things, sell things. If you're a great marketer, market. If you can build a product, build a product. Like,
I think I would want to say it this way because I don't want it to be, at least what I've learned through this process is it's not a one or the other.
Yeah.
But it's not a compromised middle ground. It's just getting it in the right order. And what I mean by that, and it's what you guys, it's the same conclusion you guys came to and would design your services around, is that recognize the power of the software and go all in on it because it's really powerful and it's very easy to use. Just use it after a professional has set it up for you so that it's done properly and you understand the power that you have in your hands.
Yeah.
And that's not news. I mean, we talk about that all the time, but I guess I can just say in the spirit of innovation and just being kind of captivated of like, we're always like, oh man, you could do this and this and this. And I kind of was like, yeah, let's go down that road. I needed to, and to kind of see, there's still some things where, I don't want to be short-sighted. The software is incredible.
Right.
But I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah, I love that middle ground though. I love that middle ground because that's a great place to be with your clients. They're in the file. They're doing some things. You're helping them. They have access to you. You've built best practice videos and other kind of peripherals, slide decks and different things. Like that's that good middle ground of like, hey, my client takes care of, they're watching their money, but they maybe don't always put it in the right spot in the accounting.
Yeah.
And we'll come behind them, fix it, then talk, and then we get to the good stuff, which is let's do planning and let's think through things, let's do advisory and all that. So, but the ones that do it right, they, like you said, they leverage us on the setup, leverage us on the training, and then take us up on the ongoing oversight.
Yeah.
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 So you should do that.
I think I should. I think I should.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I teed it up for you, man.
I appreciate that.
I mean, I came in here hat in hand, just like,
Right.
So, look, if you want other podcasts with tips, tricks for accounting, go to mire.group. You can find them all there, as well as reach out to Marcus and his team.
Yep.
If you do try to leverage them on the setup, you can start there.
It's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Till next time.
All right, guys. See ya.